where's the game? I should grab the game. Eh. Yeah, so BloodRayne 2, I remember hearing from my buddy Andy, who, if you remember from the very first video when I was talking about this, said that BloodRayne 2 was quite a big improvement over the first game. And I gotta say, having only played probably about 3 hours or so of it, that it's a slight improvement, but a lot of the same problems still exist along with a lot of new ones. And let's try and discuss what a lot of those problems are. For one thing, they try to add a little bit more combat into it to try and keep it interesting. I don't even remember how much a lot of mechanics of combat were in even the first game. I think you only had one attack and then you had your harpoon. I don't remember if you had quick and strong attacks or anything like that. This time, you know, you still have a standard attack and you also have a kick attack. You still have your harpoon, but the harpoon works a little bit differently now. Instead of just pulling guys toward you to be able to feed on them a little bit easier, instead now you can toss them around. But now it's also the fact that you'll be locked in a room or in a section and you're supposed to do something involving the environment, where I had a fireplace that I was supposed to just toss several bodies into, or a fan, or a garbage truck, which could be kind of fun if it wasn't something that you have to do in order to progress the level. So that made that kind of annoying, and really, you know, when I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, I was wondering, why is this combat section going on so long? That's why. And you just get just mindless amounts of enemies just keep pouring at you. There's also the fact, too, that the combat just doesn't feel very good. It doesn't feel interesting at all. I mean, you can now lock on to an opponent, and when you lock on, you'll just automatically block if you're not attacking. But, I don't know. The fact that when you're attacking somebody and they don't have a stun animation or anything like that, and they don't really feel like that they register your hits, because I had quite a few occasions where they would still attempt to attack me while I'm attacking them. And so that was a tad odd, and then, you know, a lot of other elements to, you know, I guess, add the idea of, you know, taking a lot more tactics into your attacks, where now some enemies have melee weapons, and when they are carrying a melee weapon, you can't just feed on them. You have to destroy their melee weapon or knock it away from them in some way to then render them vulnerable. It just takes way too goddamn long. You have quite a few other special abilities now as well. You have your rage ability. You still have your true aura sense. And then you have a slowdown ability, which I didn't know what the hell was going on when I accidentally activated it. Blood Rage makes you stronger and also ups your defense. Mostly it's good for when you're attacking enemies with melee weapons or when you're fighting bosses. Usually. But, and again, I'm not sure if this is on the connection that I have for when I'm recording this game or what. But everything in this game was so goddamn dark, I could barely even see anything. At one point while I was playing, I just had True Aura on because it made everything in the game visible. So that's just how I ended up playing the game at one point, just always with True Aura on. Because thankfully it never runs down your meter or anything like that, unlike Rage Mode or anything like that. And the story at least feels slightly improved. So there's that, and I mean, the graphics look fine. But, I mean, all in all, the combat really didn't feel that great. The worst aspect about this game has to be the platforming. Because let's add more shit to this game. Because why not? And God, the platforming does not feel good at all, especially in this type of a game at all, where really combat should have been the only focus. Instead, now you have sections where you're jumping from these high beams and the controls feel delayed because Rayne will just be facing a direction and it takes her a second to respond until she will actually face the other direction, and then you have to hold up in order for her to start spinning so that she will spin and jump. And if you, like, I had a part when I was just trying to rearrange the camera and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I was trying to get her to face the other way and she kept turning around and then nothing else. She wouldn't start to go into a roll or anything like that so I could get her jumping. I had 2 occasions, and I have this on fucking recording, where I was in a platforming section jumping from bar to bar, and I'm supposed to jump on this bar on the side of the building. And I made it, but she didn't grab the bar, so she fell. But thankfully she doesn't take any fall damage. And then the next time that I did it, she grabbed onto the bar, but then she let go. And I didn't hit the jump button or anything like that to drop down. She just let go. So I don't know what the hell was going on with that. And the fact that the controls are stiff for the platforming does not make this a good platformer at all. It just feels like something that was just tacked on to either make the game a little bit longer or perhaps a little bit more challenging or interesting, but that really doesn't help here at all. And especially when you compare it to any other platformer that is purely a platformer and the combat is just kind of there, but it's pretty simple but still fun. You know, like I could probably compare so many other things, you know, Mario or Jak and Daxter or probably anything. Oh yeah, there's also the fact too that now gunplay is now just simplified to you find these 2 blood guns, but they feed kind of off of your own blood, so if you want to use them again, you have to feed, but they're pretty powerful, so at least there's that. Yeah, the bosses. So I really only got to maybe a couple of boss fights. The first one really didn't feel that interesting. The guy would go around from platform to platform turning into birds, and I had to try and find the right one with true aura and then just shoot at him. First boss really wasn't that hard, except for the parts with all the annoying platforming. And then the second boss was just annoying because even though I got through a phase of beating her, I hadn't beat the level yet, and nor had I reached a checkpoint. And then because my health was so low and then I died, I had to restart from the beginning of the boss fight, which means I had to refight all of her goons who have melee weapons, which is just long, tedious, and boring, involving just using rage and then just slashing the shit out of them. And I tried to do an experiment to see, like, is rage mode really any stronger than just normal? And it probably is slightly. It's also the fact, too, that when I'm in rage mode, I can't see really what's going on, except for maybe the occasional blood splatter, so I know I'm at least aiming in the right direction. I need to try to find another way to record all my old stuff so I can at least see it on my television. That is what I would like to be able to do. But I don't know what I would need, nor do I know what it would cost. Anyway. So that's about as far as I got. And I do apologize. I actually did want to see about trying to get much further in this, but dear God, this game was very frustrating, really not that interesting. This is about as bad as the first one, if not just slightly higher than it, but it's still a pretty bad game. overall. I'm sure there are probably a lot of things that I missed that I could have said about it. I think I've mentioned everything that is pretty crucial to it. The combat is pretty boring and repetitive. The platforming is pretty terrible, and I know platforming was certainly a new thing that was added, because there really wasn't a lot of that in the first one. Slightly, but not really. Alright, well everybody, that's my vlog review for BloodRayne 2. I was originally just going to write a script, but I realized there's really not that much to really talk about with this. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you guys fans of the BloodRayne game? If so, I mean, that's okay. I might take a look at the one on the 360, the side-scroller, at some point. So, maybe just to close out the series. We'll see. If you enjoyed this review or my videos, please hit it with a like or a subscribe. I would really appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter and support me on Patreon. Links are in the description. See you guys next time.